So there is currently a bill in Parliament, yeah, and this bill has been presented by one Esther Passaris, who is the women rep of Nairobi County, and she's trying to, restrict protests around areas which are deemed protected by the Constitution, and those areas are areas like the Parliament, 100 meters away from the Parliament, from the State House and the courts. So when this bill passes, of course, many critics are seeing it as many people, we are seeing it as a limitation of rights and all that, because people are free to assemble anywhere. And just to remind people like Esther Passaris, you may not be in Parliament or in State House every other term, So when you're introducing these bills, kindly bear in mind that sometimes the constitutional right of the person must be protected, and areas around State House or any, those are public institutions. Anybody is free to assemble from there.
That is Mama Supu. She's selling beauty. She thinks beauty gives you credibility and integrity to go for leadership. Esther Passaris is nothing but a flower girl. Let me respond. Esther Passaris,
he knows me so well.
On the 26th of October, 2005,
oh wow,
you are named in Parliament as having obtained a contract to adopt a light and procedurally. Esther Passaris, because you asked for it, so you are very corrupt. In fact, your files, I've done research on you, your files in City Hall stink to the high heavens. Number two, you asked for it.
You know what? It's fantastic. He's just building my case. He's building my case.
Let me respond, Esther Passaris, because you asked for it on live TV.
I need it.
Yes, you need it,
exactly.
And you will get it.
Continue defaming me.
You will get it, Esther Passaris. Esther Passaris on the 27th of December.
How do you know all these dates?
2007, because I was there with her at the Pentagon House. In the impending days when Raila's victory was almost certain, you announced to the gathering that after Raila is inaugurated, you will take 30 days sex holiday in Seychelles.
A
woman
holiday
who has absolutely no integrity, a socialite bimbo, whose only claim to fame is because she is looking for billionaire sponsors. Yesterday it was Mwangi of Equity. The other day it was Gichuru of the former electricity Kenya Power, crying for a man to marry you because you believe that the man promised to marry you, and for that reason you took a man to court. Esther Passaris, you can sue me 1,000,000 times and it would not bother me.
Prohibit public gatherings within 100 meters of key institutions, namely Parliament, courts, protected areas under the Protected Areas Act, prescribe penalties for violations, not to criminalize protests, but to protect lives and infrastructure. The judicial precedent. Honourable members, the bill is not only constitutionally grounded, it also fulfills judicial guidance. In Gunjiri Wambugu versus Inspector General of Police and others in 2019, the High Court directed that the Inspector General and Cabinet Secretary of Interior formulate or amend laws and regulations to ensure demonstrations were peaceful, well managed, and well held in designated zones to protect public order. The bill enforces that ruling. When we look at Kenya, I really have to commend Judy for all the research that she's done and the examples that she's given across Africa. Countries around the world balance the right to protest and the need to preserve public safety.
I was trying to raise when he talked about peaceably. Without dragging your minds to that, that would mean conducting demonstrations in a calm manner. without interfering with people's rights. That is what is meant in those other countries. But I think these changes and in the Public Order Act would not actually make any achievement. We need to get back to Article 37 of the Constitution and see what we can do in that article. That is what would bring order into this country. Otherwise, I do not agree that changing the Public Order Act is going to change anything. When you see people go even to court and want to show that disrespect, people go to church, it means they're losing hope. So as leaders, I don't expect, I've seen emotions run high even in this meeting, and I don't think that is the way we need to go to make progress for this country. We must address the realities which are also being raised by these other fellows. Jesus once said that man was not made for law. And I've taken reference from the book of Timothy, chapter 1, verse 1 to 11. Chair, that book talks of that. It says that law was not intended for people who do what is right, but law is intended for people who are lawless and rebellious, who are ungodly and sinful, and sees nothing sacred. Chair, I want to say that, Chair, the reason why I'm saying that, we need to look at this matter soberly. We know that there are issues which have also been raised by the young people, and for peace to prevail, the first underlying thing is that there must be justice. Where there is presumed to be injustice, then the people tend to develop contempt even for state organs. I've looked at the situation, what happened in America in 2020, when the police killed one black American called George Floyd. And for the first time in Minneapolis, I think the security of the United States was threatened. There were very serious breaches of the law. So I think we need to look at this issue very soberly and find a way that how do we instill moral values and virtues in our young children other than condemning them.
Not your friend.
The lady
Please.
has already said she's supporting Kidero up to the end of his term. You're a lady. You're 50, we are 52. You're a lady. You want me to call you what, a man?
The protest control bill by Esther PASSARIS is one-sided, and Kenyans must say no. It talks about protesters, but says nothing about the police who shoot at unarmed citizens, nothing about tear gas thrown into shops, homes, and schools, nothing about lives lost in the name of order. If you want to regulate protests, start by regulating police conduct, remove live ammunition from crowd control, deploy police to protect shops, not to provoke protesters, punish officers who brutalize Kenyans, not those who speak out. Protest is not a crime, it's a voice, it's pain, it's patriotism. A real protest law would protect both citizens and property, without silencing the people. We reject any law that favors the powerful and endangers the poor. Let Kenyans speak. Let them march. Let them be heard without fear.
Good morning, Prof.
Good morning, Lavender.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
So, Prof, Nairobi Women Rep Esther PASSARIS has proposed setting up special zones for protest in cities. Do you think this is a good idea? And what could be the pros and cons, especially in a country like Kenya, where people protest near government buildings to be heard?
It is a good idea to have orderly demonstrations.
Yeah.
You know, picketing and all that kind of thing. It's good to be orderly,
Yes.
so that we don't disrupt life, we don't disrupt business, we don't cause injuries and looting. It's quite in order, in theory. As she proposes, is also good. It may also be good to have designated areas for demonstrators, Hyde Park of sort, where people can go and shout as much as they want. But Esther PASSARIS may not be aware of the dangers. I will invite her to read about the Tahrir Square. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You could tell people to go to Uhuru Park and then they don't leave. You get 500,000 people, they are not leaving. They used to take turns at Tahrir Square. I hope she knows that. It can also be dangerous.
If this is to be passed, do you think the leaders will still feel the pressure to the act, or could this be a way to weaken the impact of demonstrations?
It could make it worse. Because if you allow people to gather in Uhuru Park, for example, and there are like 500,000 people, they can easily now from there march to State House. Because you are saying you can meet in Uhuru Park. Come, and they will come from morning. By noon, you have 600,000 people. They are not even fitting in Uhuru Park. They have spilled into the areas around Uhuru Park. They are 1 million. Then they march to State House. What would you do? So people like Passaris should look at, address the problem, not managing crowds, not political ways of dealing with things. Find out why are Kenyans demonstrating even violently, even knowing they could lose their lives on the streets. Why are they demonstrating?
Thank you so much, Prof.
Thank you.
This same bill, with the word, is a stupid bill. And stupid is an English word that means lack of intelligence and lack of common sense. It lacks those two things. And therefore, it is a stupid bill that doesn't need to be discussed. Because you cannot limit Article 37 of the Constitution by whatever means. Because limiting Article 37 of the Constitution means also limiting Article 1 of the Constitution, which says that the sovereignty of this country lies with the people. Where is that sovereignty symbolized? Where is it housed? It is housed within these same institutions that you are saying we cannot go to, okay? And those institutions, okay, they are what makes Kenya Kenya, okay? When you come to this country, the presidency is both a head of state, head of government, but also a symbol of national unity. And where is the presidency signified? In State House. It is, and where is the other arm of government where delegation of power under Article 1, delegated duty, delegated power, delegated sovereignty is in Parliament. Delegated sovereignty, delegated power is in the judiciary. These institutions are people's institutions. I think what we are trying to address here, the reason I call it lack of common sense and lack of intelligence, is why is there destruction of those institutions? Why are there goons getting into these maandamanos or protests and then end up destroying property, which then escalates to a violent situation between the people and the police? That's a substantive issue that needs to be addressed.
Wale kichwani this beautiful morning, bado pia mimi niko katika hiyo bili ambayo mswada ambayo Mheshimiwa Esther Passaris anawasilisha pale vile, mswada ambao utakuwa unathibiti maandamano ama waandamanaji hapa nchini Kenya.
Ndio.
Provide address, time limit, slogans pia zile ambazo mtatumia. Slogans zile ambazo mtatumia katika maandamano yenu pia mueleze katika placards zenu, route location na maswala mengineo. Nikajiuliza maswali kichwani. Andika barua 2 weeks before maandamano. Uelezee yote kuhusiana na maandamano. Ushaona? So does it mean tutakuwa tunaanza kuomba ruhusa kwa wizara husika ili tuweze kufanya maandamano?
Kabisa.
Because upande huu mwingine katiba inasema kwamba unafaa kuwafahamisha polisi kwamba mnafaa kufanya maandamano, sio kuomba ruhusa.
Ndio.
Kuwafahamisha, to notify the police ya kwamba mtakuwa na maandamano, so that they can provide security for you guys ambao mnaandamana. So does it mean kwamba nikana kwamba tunabadilisha katiba kuleta hii sheria mpya? Are we changing? Because notify the police, lakini kulingana na huu mswada ni kwamba andika barua. And then nikajiuliza swali, kwa mfano hizi slogans tukiziandika kwamba kwa mfano Mwakideu must go, ama hatumtaki Mwakideu na kadhalika. So does it mean yule ambao tunampelekea slogan zetu atakuwa pia na uhuru wa kuzibadilisha ama kutukataza tusitumie hizo slogans? Okay. Kitu chengine ambacho najiuliza pia this beautiful morning kuhusiana na mswada.
Ndio.
Mbona nauona sana manake katika kuandamana mambo ni mawili.
Ndio.
Kuna waandamanaji
na
sababu ya wao kuandamana.
Kweli.
Ushaona ni nini ambacho kinafanya waandamane?
Kweli.
Wanaandamana kwa sababu ya mtu fulani ama wanaandamana kwa sababu ya masaibu fulani.
Ndio.
Naiona sana iko katika waandamanaji, lakini sioni ikizungumzia yule ambaye anatufanya tuandamane ama sababu ya kutufanya tuandamane.
Ndio.
Ni sawa, mwandamanaji ameambiwa kwamba yeye atakuwa akilipa faini kukiwa na uharibifu wowote pale vile. Je, kwa mfano mwandamanaji pia akuwe injured ama aage dunia, je, huu mswada unasema namna gani? Ni nani ambaye atamshughulikia?
Ndio.
Ushaona? Atashughulikiwa na nani? Kitu chengine pia, je, does it mean kwamba mswada huu ukipita utakuwa unahitilafiana na katiba yetu hapa nchini Kenya ambayo inazungumza kwamba freedom of speech, there's freedom of speech.
Kweli?
Unaweza kujielezea wewe Mkenya.
Ndio.
Freedom of movement.
Ndio.
Wewe pia unaruhusiwa kama Mkenya kuwa popote pale ambapo unafaa kuwa, bora huko katika maybe zile restricted areas.
Kweli?
Ushaona? Cha mwisho najiulizia na nakuuliza pia wewe msikilizaji, do you think it is a well balanced mswada? Is it a balanced one? Ndio maswali kichwani.
Na je, Mwashumbe, waona waandamanaji wakiandamana kwa ajili ya mswada wa waandamanaji?
Definitely. Wakiipeleka vile inavyoipeleka, because according to me inafaa ipikwe ipikike, sote tuipende
tena kwa mpigo zaidi.